I know it doesn't look very much at the moment, but there has been a bit of improvement on the loose paint being removed, and I've already made a start on the bottom part of this bulkhead. Remove the varnish and give it a quick sand. It looks to have come up quite well. Just got to do the rest up here, round to there and down that panel. The outer panel's got to be removed because it's shot, and I've got to go along the top of the beam shaft and get rid of all that loose paint on there and sort that all out. And I'll move, when I had a cup of tea, I'll move, or say coffee should I say, then move ahead and go to the far forward part of the boat there and start to clean that up. Well, that's one panel scraped from top to bottom. Just got to sand the panel from where the holes are here to the top, up to the top, and then find out how it's fixed into the deck beam. It does appear that, looking at the nail thickness on the plugs on the front, that we should put in with galvanising screws, so that should be pretty interesting to get out. If you're wondering where all the holes are in the bulkhead, the big one at the bottom there, and these two were for a radiator that sat on this bulkhead here when she became a liveaboard. They were fueled by the diesel cooker in the main cabin and piped through to the forecabin. So it was an interesting idea. I'm sure it worked, but that's not going to go back in again. The diesel cookers go in, but very unlikely to be used as a form of heat source for radiators. But that's what's going to happen in the future. But anyway, that's what I'm doing at the moment, is scraping the varnish off the bulkhead, seeing the condition of it, seeing what needs to be replaced, what can be saved, and find out how I'm going to fill those holes up. Probably have to put a grading piece in there and fill them up. But one thing is certain in here, it was quite a large cabin for a crew member. You had that side had a toilet and a hand basin. This side had one big bunk. I do have photographs of when I first bought it, of this all being in place apart from the toilet, which was missing. But there was a berth that went from there all the way down to here. One very long berth, and had lockers underneath. That's going to be put back in when the gets round to it. First thing I've got to do is put 2 new ribs in here and several planks. But while I'm by myself and haven't any volunteers to help me, I'll do the small jobs which I can't easily do, and when I get some volunteers to help me, I'll be able to put some of the bigger bits in, along with the clean up the beam shelf and taking the cover board off the foredeck on both side port, the starboard side and the port hand side, and then probably have to replace the port hand side beam shelf because it's rotten in 2 or 3 places, and so is the top strake and the one down from the top. But apart from that, it's in not bad condition, but that's for another day. But onwards and upwards, they say. Now for a time for a brew and then get back to it again. Well, that's me done for today. I've got other work to do at home, at the workshop, but it's a start. At least we've made a reasonable start. We can now concentrate on find out where the fixtures are which hold these panels in, and they'll be able to remove this section of bulkhead to gain access to this locker here and make inroads into that locker there and sort the bulkhead out on that bit. So that's what our next job is. I've done a reasonable bit today. I know it's not very much in the big scheme of things, but it's a start. One thing I have found out, there was things screwed to the bulkhead before that have been missing now, and there were bits fitted to the bulkhead that shouldn't have been there, which were added later. So it's all coming together, and getting paint scraping is not the most enlightening thing in the world, but it does give you things out, finding things out that weren't there before, and it also tells you about the history of the boat and how it's been changed over the years to what it is now. And I hope over the next few months and a year or so to put back a lot of the original equipment in the boat and get it back more to where she was when she was built. And down there is the skin fitting for the toilet, one of the skin fittings for the toilet, and there's one underneath the floor a bit further back, it's hidden up. And also there was a sink in here as well, which was here on the boat. From looking at plans of boats similar to this, she had a baby Blake toilet down here and a hand basin up here, and there was a chain locker bulkhead. But one thing will have to be altered in this boat, and it's not a thing I'd like to do, but it's a necessity, and that is to put marine mahogany faced plywood panels back in here, because the cost of buying excessively wide planks of mahogany is outside my price range. And when you look at it, it's only a bulkhead, it's not anything fancy, and mahogany faced bulkheads will look just as nice as these solid wooden solid mahogany ones are, but at a fraction of the price of buying solid mahogany ones. And seeing as they're made in panels and not complete big bulkheads, I can jiggle around lots of small bits of plywood to fill in certain areas where it's going to have to happen, like over there. I can put a small piece of plywood in there, and you wouldn't, when it's varnished and stained, you wouldn't know it's the difference between mahogany plywood and a solid piece of plywood. So that's what's going to happen there. Same over here. These are going to be a new piece of mahogany plywood in there, a new panel there made out of mahogany plywood, and that's how it's going to be. But you use what you can, and when you can't afford or can't source large wide piece of mahogany, you have to do this next best thing, which is to get top quality marine ply, which is mahogany faced, and put that in its place. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So onwards and upwards. So I've done a fair bit today that I think for myself, and see you next time. And let's see how we get on with removing this bulkhead and getting on in sorting this part of the boat out and removing a rib which is behind this bulkhead, and also find out how easy it is to get the covering board off the deck up there. So that's all for now, folks. If you like, please like and subscribe to this video, give us a thumbs up for notification, and see you next time. Bye for now.